Jai Sri Ram. By the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Jagannath, Lord Sri Ram, we will continue the story of Ramayana part 2, chapter 14, Sita is found. If you have not watched the previous chapter of Ramayana, you may go to the playlist or click on the I button in the top and watch all the videos so that you can get to know the story of Ramayana from the beginning till to this chapter. So, the chapter 14 is starting like this. In the tree, Hanuman considered what to do next. He wanted to comfort Sita and give her Ram's ring, but he was not sure how to approach her. She would likely think him to be Ravana in disguise using sorcery to trick her. She might cry out and alert the Rakshasa. What then? He could be killed or captured. How would Ram's purpose be served if that happened? What other monkey could leap across the ocean and return? Hanuman thought carefully. He decided to remain in the tree and sign praises of Ram so that Sita could hear. The Rakshasi had moved away to a distance and would not notice. Hanuman started to speak out loudly. In the city of Ayodhya, there lived a great ruler named Dasaratha. That lordly king begot a valiant son named Ram, who possesses every good quality. Going to the forest in obedience to his aged and pious father, Prince Ram slayed in battle many violent demons. Hanuman related in brief Ram's history of until the time of Sita abduction. He described what had happened to Ram in her absence since then, leading up to his own leap across the ocean and arrival in the Ashoka group. Sita was struck with wonder to hear the voice from the tree. She looked up and all around her, feeling joy upon hearing Ram's activities described. As she gazed into the bush of the tree, she saw among the leaves Hanuman's tiny figure. The small monkey sat humbly with his palms folded. Immediately she became afraid. Who was this creature? What was he doing in the tree? Was this Ravana's trick? But remembering the auspicious omens, Sita became thoughtful. She prayed to the god that Hanuman's words might prove true. Hanuman slipped down from the tree and bowed low before Sita with his joint palms raised above his head. I assumed you are Sita, consort of highly blessed Ram. I am an envoy dispatched by Ram to seek you. O noble lady, along with his brother Lakshmana, Ram waits in grief for some news of your whereabouts. Sita felt overjoyed to hear of Ram, but she was still suspicious. What if this was Ravana? Nevertheless, upon seeing the monkey, she was feeling a strange uh, calm and peace of mind. She looked carefully at Hanuman and asked, how can I know that you are not Ravana? Hanuman reassured her. He described the features of both Ram and Lakshmana in great details, telling her everything he knew about the two princes. Hanuman then told her about himself and how he had came to meet with Ram. He spoke confidently. Now that have found you, I will soon return to Ram. You will see your Lord arrive here before long, marching at the head of an unlimited number of powerful monkeys and warriors. Hanuman showed her the ring Ram had given him. He handed it to Sita and she immediately recognized it. She was now convinced by Hanuman. Standing up in excitement, she felt unlimited joy. Her eyes shed tears of happiness and her face shone brightly. She praised Hanuman, "You have achieved a great feat in crossing the wide ocean and entering this fortified city. O noble monkey, surely you are the foremost of Ram's servant." Sita wondered why Ram himself had not come there. Why had he not smashed the city of Lanka and taken her back? Was he still strong in mind and body? Was Lakshmana well? Sita questioned Hanuman eagerly, and the monkey replied, "Ram doesn't know your exact whereabouts, oh godly lady, but he is well and awaiting news of you. As soon as he hears my report, he will come here with his army and ride the world of Rakshasas. There can be no doubt whatsoever. Whatsoever." Hanuman assured Sita that Rama was always thinking of her. Indeed, his mind was distracted by grief due to her separation. He could not eat properly and hardly slept. Ram sat for long periods gazing into the distance, sighing heavily. He would not even brush from his body gnats and mosquitoes. Oblivious to everything as he thought of Sita. For time to time, he would call out her name and shed tears. Sita felt simultaneously joy and grief as she heard of her husband and his own griefs for her. She sat lost in thought of Ram for some time, looking like the bright moon seen through a veil of clouds. The monkey's words were like nectar mixed with poison. She could not tolerate hearing of Ram's sorrow. Her beautiful eyelids, with their long black lashes, fluttered as she blinked away her tears. She spoke to Hanuman, who sat with his palm folded and head bowed. "O valiant monkey, you must quickly bring Ram. Only a short time remains till the merciless Ravana will have me killed." The demon will not heed any good advice and is bent on bringing about his own destruction, held as he is in the grip of death. She told Hanuman that she had heard how Ravana's brothers and ministers, Viva, Vibhisana, Vibhisana had repeatedly exhorted the demon's king to return Sita. He and other wise Rakshasa warned Ravana that keeping Sita would result in the annihilation of the Rakshasas. But Ravana would not listen. Sita had heard this from a Vibhishana's wife, who had befriended the princess. When he heard that Sita's life was threatened, Hanuman becomes alarmed. He spoke urgently. "Let me take you from this place immediately, O princess of Mithila. You may climb upon my back and I shall leap across the sea with ease. Do not fear, I could easily carry the whole of Lanka, Ravana and all. Therefore mount upon my back and I shall transport you to Ram's regency in this very day." Sita looked at Hanuman, who still appeared as a normal monkey less than half of her size. She spoke in surprise. "Your proposal is surely quite monkey like. Oh, gallant one. How shall I even get on your back? Hanuman was piqued. This was the first time his strength and power had been questioned. Obviously, Sita was not aware of his ability. He needed to give her a demonstration. Hanuman began to expand his body, growing up to the huge size. He looked down at Sita and said, "I have the capacity to lift up this entire island with its hill, woodlands, lakes, city, defensive walls, and the very lord of Lanka, Ravana himself. Be done with your hesitation, O princess, and allow me to carry you to Ram." Sita gazed off in amazement at Hanuman, who stood before her like a 20 mountains. Sita was reassured of his ability but was still doubtful about traveling on his back. Sita said, "You are like the wind god himself. Dear monkey, when you fly with great speed, it will be difficult for me to hold fast to you. The force of your flight will likely render me unconscious. I will then fall into the ocean only to be devoured by fierce aquatics." Sita also feared that Hanuman would not be able to leave Lanka with her. The Rakshasa would spot him and give chase. They were capable to fight in the air with powerful weapons, and Hanuman would be hard pressed to retaliate as he flew with Sita on his back. Sita explained that there were still other reasons why she could not take up Hanuman's offers. "I have vowed never to touch the body of any man other than Ram. I am already mortified due to being grasped by the sinful Ravana. I could not voluntarily touch another man, nor could I allow anyone other than Ram to rescue me, thereby diminishing Ram's fame. I therefore prefer to wait for my Lord, confident that he will soon arrive." Hanuman nodded in assent to Sita's word. She was right. It would not possible for her to clinging to him while he flew swiftly back, and he respected her chastity, which was without comparison in the world. Resuming his normal size, he said, "I shall now go back to Ram. Please give me some token so that he will know that I have actually met with you." Sita replied to him in a voice choked with tears, "You may give him this token in the form of a message. Remind him of the time when we lived together on the Chitrakuta mountain and how I was once attacked by a crow and Ram gave me protection." Sita told Hanuman in details about about the incident. The crow is questioned was Indra's son, and he had wanted to witness Ram's powers. He had attacked Sita. For years often Ram had thrown a blade of grass at him, imbuing it with the power of the Brahmastra. The empowered grass had chased the crow across the universe and finally destroyed one of his eyes. Ram would remember that incident and know that no, only Sita could have recalled it. Hanuman asked if Sita had any message for Ram. The princess replied, "You should report to Ram my wretched condition, although I have the invisible Ram as my protector. I now appear like one forlorn. He should lose no time to rescuing me. He is capable of advancing against the entire host of gods and demons united together. What to speak of Ravana? Sita took from her clothes a brilliant celestial gems with which she had used to decorate her hair. Handing the yellow jewels to Hanuman, she said, "Give these gems to Ram and say to him, even as Vishnu rescued the goddess Earth from the depth of the ocean, you should descend into the midst of the Rakshas and save me. O monkey, deliver this message to my lord." Hanuman took the jewels and bowed low to Sita. It was time to leave, but he wanted first to test the Rakshasa strength. Now that he had actually penetrated into Lanka, he saw his opportunity. If he could incite the Rakshasa to fight with him, it would give him some idea of their force and power. And beside that, Hanuman wanted to do some damage to the demon's force before he left. Thinking in this way, Hanuman still in a vast form being driving off the tree and browsing in the gardens, he tore down the walls and archways and hauled them into the ponds, moving like a tempest and roaring all the while. The Vanaras created havoc in the grove. He took up a huge iron bar and stood at the entrance of the garden, eagerly awaiting the arrival of the Rakshasa troop. The inhabitants of Ravana palace were terrified to hear Hanuman's roar, along with the crash of trees and the cries of frightened animals. The Rakshasas, who had been worried in sleep, woke with a start. They saw Hanuman standing at the gate of the garden like a towering hill. Some of them had already noticed that Sita was speaking to a monkey and they questioned her about his identity. How should I know anything about his wonderful being? She replied, "You are the one skilled in sorcery and magic. Why then why then can you not ascertain for yourself the nature of this creature?" Some of the Rakshasa ran in fear to Ravana. They reported to him that the monkey had entirely destroyed the beautiful gardens, leaving only the large Simsapa tree under which Sita lay. Ravana flooded up, his eyes flashed, and hot tears fell from them like drops of burning oil from a lamp. He thought for a moment this attacker was probably a powerful emissary of the gods or even Vishnu. No one else would dare assail Lanka. Ravana ordered a select band of Rakshasa warriors, the Kinkaras, to capture Hanuman. 8,000 of them immediately gathered and left for the garden. The massive Rakshasa were endowed with extraordinary might and had large teeth and held fierce weapons. They rushed in a body towards the Osoko group knee to lay hold Hanuman. Seeing the colossal monkey, they darted at him like moths towards a flame. They attacked Hanuman with their sharp edged spears, mace, clubs, iron picks, and scimitars surrounding him and shouting loudly. Waves of arrows spread towards Hanuman, rushing through the air and sounding like a roaring gale. Hanuman assumed an even larger form. He lashed the ground with his tails and uttered a great cry, "Victory to Ram and Lakshmana! I am Hanuman, the son of wind god, and I am here as Ram's servant. Not even a thousand Ravanas can withstand me. I shall destroy Lanka and then return to my master." The Kinkaras was struck with fear upon seeing Hanuman's size and hearing his booming voice, which shook the earth. They closed in on him in thousands. Hanuman wielded the iron bar and began striking the demons down, bounding into the air and tearing through the Rakshasa rank. Hanuman swiftly annihilated them. He moved like the wind and could hardly be seen by the Rakshasa. In a short time, they were virtually wiped out. A few of them survived and ran back to Ravana. The demon king became even more furious. He ordered one of his great general Jambu Mali to attack Hanuman. The Rakshasa bowed to Ravana and went out for the battle, clutching his golden bow. Jambu Mali mount a chariot drawn by a hundred tall steed with the heads of fiends. He twanged his bowstring, making a sound like thunder and roaring with anger, racing towards the palace garden. Meanwhile, Hanuman had been looking around to see what further destruction he could cause. He saw an enormous temple atop a great hill where the Rakshasa worshipped their guardian's deity. He quickly climbed the hill and scaled the side of the temple, which appeared like the sheer face of a mountain. As he went up the wall of the temple, the influent Hanuman resembled the shining god, repeatedly crying out, "Victory to Ram!" He began tearing down the buttresses and large stone arches all around the temple. In minutes, he reduced the entire edifice to pile of rubble. Hanuman leaped down from the hill and spotted Jambu Mali coming towards him. The demon was dressed in crimson robes with a garland of bright red flowers around his neck and chaplet of red jewels of his head on his head. Large gold earrings shone brilliantly from his Blackley's blue pointed ears. He roared loudly and fired a hundred long shafts from his bow. Hanuman also roared when he saw the demon. He stood joyfully in front of the bellowing Rakshasa. Jambu Mali pierced the monkey all over with his terrible arrows. With one large crescent-headed shaft, he struck Hanuman in the mouth, while with a number of barbed arrows he hit him in his arms and legs. His head stained with blood. Hanuman looked like a large red lotus in the sky. He was infuriated and he took off an immense blunder, holding it with tremendous force at Jambumali. The demon laughed and instantly released 10 powerful arrows which smashed the flying rock into fragments. Enraged, Hanuman then uprooted a sal tree and whirled it about. Jamumali again shot his razor sharp arrows and cut the tree to pieces. He continued to pierce Hanuman with more and more arrows. Hanuman lost his patience and again took up the great iron rod with which he had slain the Kinkaras. With innumerable arrows striking from his body, he rushed towards the demon. He bounded into the air and came down into Jammu Mali chariot. Jambu Mali chariot, bringing the rod down onto his skull, smashed by Hanuman. The demon's head was passed into his body, which itself was crushed into a shapeless mass. The chariot was settled, and the demonic monkeys ran here and there, bellowing in fear. Ravana was astounded to hear that Jambu Mali had been slain. He again ordered seven more of his generals to go out for battle. The Rakshasa warrior went out to meet Hanuman, shouting in joy, each of them eager to excel the other in battle. They mounted large chariots overlaid with golden armor and decked with banners and flags, resemble rumbling like thunder clouds. The chariots rushed towards Hanuman. The demons were expert in the use of celestial weapons, and they began to release all kind of missiles at the great monkey. Hanuman leaped into the sky and wailed about with his arms and legs outstretched. He dogged the arrows and missiles of the Rakshasa, who themselves rose into the sky to fight him. As he spotted with the Rakshasa, who each held a golden bow, Hanuman looked like the powerful wind god playing among the thunder clouds with streaks of lightning. He swe- swept down upon the demons one by one, striking them with his hands and feet. Hanuman killed all of them, and they fell to the ground like mountains struck down by Indra's thunderbolt. Hanuman then descended to earth and stood again at the gateway of gardens, eager to fight with more demons. The ground was strewn with the bodies of Rakshasas and smashed chariots. Elephants and horses cried in a dissonant tone, and blood flooded everywhere in order to strike terror into the Rakshasas and create dissension among their ranks. Hanuman shouted, "Send out your best fighter Ravana. They will meet the same fate as they hear. I am Hanuman, servant of Ram. Soon millions of monkey like myself will arrive here accompanied by Ram himself. What use is your fighting? Release Sita now and restore her to Ram." Ravana decided that Hanuman could not possibly be a monkey. Surely he was a divine being created by the gods. The demons had seen some mighty Vanaras, but this one seemed extraordinarily powerful. Still, surely he could be vanquished. Hanuman and his warriors had overcome the gods themselves. It should not be too difficult to overpower this monkey. Whoever he may be, Ravana summoned five more ex- exceptionally powerful leader of his army, encouraging them by praising their strength and skill in battle. He sent them out to capture Hanuman. He had to find out who this monkey was and why he had came to Lanka. But one after another, Hanuman slew the Rakshasa generals. He struck down the first three with his thunderbolts like a fist. The other two then assailed Hanuman from his two sides, hold, hurling their fierce weapons with great force. Hanuman, who himself looked like a mountain, tore off the top of the nearby hill, complete with its beasts, snakes, and trees. So soaring upwards with that great curse, he he brought it down upon the two demons and completely crushed them. Hanuman then began slaying thousands of other Rakshasa who were gathered there. He killed warriors by striking them with other warriors, elephants with other elephants, and horse with horse. The ground was covered with corpses. Hanuman appeared like the time spirit bent upon the destruction of all created beings. Ravana considered the situation. This bring was formidable. He had whipped out a number of near invisible Rakshasa chiefs. Nevertheless, how could anyone ever defeat Ravana? That was impossible. Admittedly, the goddess Lanka had previously came screaming to him, speaking of his imminent destruction, but Ravana was still confident if necessary. He himself would deal with the monkey, but first let him contend with Ravana's powerful sons. That should take care of him. Ravana turned to Prince Aksa, who sat by his side, spurred by his father's glance. Aksa rose from his seat and went out for battle. He mounted his golden chariot, which shone like the sun. It was yoked to eight celestial steeds, all as swept as thought. A large red standard stood with bright gems flew from a bejeweled pole. Rows of fierce lance and javelins were arranged alongside numerous quivers of roger headed arrows. Eight long and terrible looking swords were fastened to the side of the chariot in silver scabbards emblazoned joined with golden moons and stars. Urging on his steed, Aksa rose above the ground and swept towards the gardens, accompanied by thousands of other demons and elephants, horses and chariots. The Rakshasa prince arrived before Hanuman in a few moments. He paused for a moment to assess his opponent's strength. Aksa was struck to see the mountainous monkey standing ready for combat. Hanuman looked to him like the blazing fire of the universal dissolution, but the prince was accompanied in a battle and he felt no fear. He gazed at Hanuman with his large red eyes, which resembled those of a lion. Aksa drew his great bow to its full strength and sent three powerful arrows towards monkey. The monkey the arrows struck Hanuman head and he bled profusely, giving him the appearance of the newly rising sun. Hanuman, his eyes blinking in indignation, looked down at the Rakshasa. Aksa wore a breastplate which seemed to be made entirely from gems. It shone so brilliantly. His golden armlets flashed, flashed while he worked his beautiful honors bow. As he assailed Hanuman, Ashka seemed like a dark cloud covered by a rainbow, pouring a shower of flaming arrows onto a large mountain, seeing an opportunity to again display his powers for a ram's catch. Hanuman rode in joy and sprang into the air. He darted about a beheading Aksa arrows with the speed of the wind. Aksa chariot followed him through the arrow through the air like an elephant approaching a large covered wall. The prince continuously fired his deadly weapons at Hanuman, who wheeled about like a firebrand. Witnessing the fearful encounter between the Banara and the Rakshasa, the god were amazed. The sun grew dim, the wind ceased blowing, and the sky echoed with loud shrieks. Even the sea convulsed and the Trikuta mountain shook. Hanuman considered that the prince was a worthy opponent, although only a boy. The Rakshasa was growing in strength as he fought. He struck to Hanuman. Wherever the monkey flew and pierced him with thousands of razor sharp arrows, Hanuman became more and more infuriated, and he made up his mind to kill Aksa. Suddenly turning as he was posed by the prince, Hanuman struck the eight steed with his palms and killed them outright. As his chariot descended to the earth, Aksa rose off into the sky, holding his bows and arrow. He resembled an influenced Rishi who had quite his body through yoga and quit his body through the yoga and was ascended to the realm of the gods. As the prince flew through the sky, Hanuman met him and took hold of his two legs, spinning him around violently. The monkey swiftly descended from the air and thrust him to the ground. With his wounds smashed and the body bathed in blood, Aksa felt dead. Host of Rishis, Aksas, Nagas, who arranged the stellar spear, had gathered in a body in the canopy of the sky to watch conflict. Observing Hanuman's stupendous feat in killing Aksa, they applauded and rained down celestial flower. Ravana was filled with grief and rage. He turned to his eldest son Indrajit. This prince had earned his name, the conqueror of Indra, by once taking captive the mighty king of the god. He had commanded of all the mystic missile, including even the infallible Brahmastra presided over the Brahma himself. Ravana extolled his son at length. He ordered him to go out and take Hanuman captive. The Rakshasa king felt confident that Indrajit would succeed, and he watched with affection as he obedient prince marched out for combat. Indrajit rushed out like the sea of the moon of a full moon day. He mounted a chariot drawn by four sabre-toothed tigers of immense size. With an arrow fitted to his bow, he swiftly arrived before Hanuman. Upon seeing the banner Indrajit had seized from Indra, Hanuman rode loudly in joy, realizing that he faced the famous conqueror of Indra. The crash of the wooden tom and toms war drums which accompanied Indrajit increased Hanuman martial ardor. He grew even further in size and again leaped into the sky. Indrajit fired his long shafted arrows, which were covered in gold and had beautifully feathered ends. They scrambled through the air with their steel points glowing bright red. Hanuman moved rapidly in all directions and skillfully avoided them. The Rakshasa released more and more deadly shafts and they traveled in long lines like streaks of lightning. But Rakshasa released more and sorry, but the Rakshasa could not hit the swiftly moving monkey, nor could Hanuman find any opportunity to take a hold of Indrajit. The god and Rishi were struck with the wonder of as they watched the two accompanied warrior wheeling about in the sky. The Rakshasa realized that Hanuman was formidable, but if he was a created being, then he could surely succumb to the mighty of the creator weapons. The Brahmastra, Indrajit fitted to his bow the special arrow he reserved for the Brahmastra. He chanted the mantra sacred to Brahma and released the missile. Hanuman instantly bound up by the divine force of the irresistible weapon fell to the earth with his limbs stunned. He understood that the Brahmastra had overpowered him and considered the situation. Hanuman had been given a boon by Brahma that the Brahmastra would only be effective upon him for a short while. He knew he would soon be released, but this was an opportunity for him to taken before Ravana himself. That would be useful. He could deliver a strain ultimatum to the Rakshasa on Ram's behalf and then make his escape. Having reduced his body to its normal size, Hanuman was surrounded by a large number of fierce Rakshasa who quickly bound him with large ropes, hitting and kicking Hanuman. They began dragging him towards Ravana's palace on Indrajit's order. Hanuman fainted, fierce, and even as the effect of Brahmastra wore off, allowed himself to be taken to Ravana. Within his mind, the monkey thought only of Ram and how he could best serve him now. The demon dragged Hanuman in Ravana's great assembly hall and threw him before the Rakshasa king. Ramana, fierce looking minister, reviled Hanuman. Some said, let him be trusted, roasted alive and devoured. But Ravana was inquisitive. Who was this being? Why had he caused so much of havoc in Lanka? The demon turned to his chief minister and ordered him to interrogate Hanuman. The monkey immediately said, I am the messenger arrived from Sugriva, the king of the Vanaras. Both he and I are the servant of Ram, the lord of the world. Hanuman looked up at Ravana. He was awestruck by the demon's opulence. Ravana sat upon a vast crystal throne studded with gems and rage on the platform of gold. On his head he wore a brilliant diadem set with priceless jewels and encircled by a string of pearls. His limbs were decorated with numerous gold ornaments inlaid with diamonds. He wore valuable steel ropes and was adorned with crimson sandal paste painted with peculiar design. His ruddy eyes were at once terrible and yet as attractive as large lotus petals. With his 20 powerful arms, he looked like a mountain infested by five hooded serpents. On both the side, he was being fanned by elegantly adorned young women. Next to him sat his four principal advisors, who leaned across to him, offering advice and reassurance. Hanuman gazed instantly upon Ravan, admiring his power and affluence. Surely the demons could have been leader of the gods and protectors of the universe, where he had given to violent and sinful acts. If this demon were enraged, he could doubtlessly turn the entire world into a one large ocean. Prahasta, Ravana's chief minister, was doubtful about Hanuman's identity and he questioned him. Take heart, oh monkey, we will soon release you. But first tell us who you really are. Are you an envoy of Vishnu? Thrice he is for conquest over the demons. Perhaps you are sent by Indra or one of the other gods. Speak the truth. We do not hold you to be a monkey, for your power is very great indeed. Hanuman responded that he was indeed a monkey. He again declared himself to be Sugriva's messenger. We are Ram's servant. He cannot be conquered by any being in all the world. Take heed of the advice I shall now offer you for your own good, O Ravana. Hanuman told Ravana the history of Ram and his exile to the forest, leading right up to the assembling of the Vanaras horde at Kiskinda. All these monkey Hanuman warned were as swift and powerful as Hanuman himself. No one could resist him in battle, seeking to create fear and dissension among the Rakshasa. Hanuman spoke boldly. You should immediately release Sita before it is too late. Otherwise, you will soon see an ocean of monkeys and viewers descend upon Lanka. Ram and Lakshmana will stand at their head, losing arrows which are as powerful as Indra thunderbolt. Not even all the gods united together could keep the princess of Mithila from Ram. If you value your life, restore her to Ram today. Hanuman then described Ram's powers. Ram could dissolve the universe with his arrows and immediately creates it anew. Not even Brahma or Shiva could not stand before Ram in battle. Lanka and its Rakshasa would not present even the smallest obstacle to him. Ravana had placed the nose of death around his neck when he stole Sita. His only hope now was to go before Ram and beg for forgiveness and mercy. Ravana was overcome with wrath. Opening his eyes wide, he exclaimed, "Kill this insolent monkey." Hearing this command, Ravana brothers and counselor Bhibhishana immediately objected. It is never acceptable to kill a messenger. No virtuous ruler would even consider such an action. If necessary, the monkey can be punished in some other way. Ravana angrily replied that Hanuman had acted sinfully. He had destroyed the Ashoka group and killed many Rakshasas. But Hanuman replied that he had acted only in self defense. He was only a monkey. His monkey nature had made him playful, tear, tear down the garden, and he had then being attacked by many fierce warriors. What could he do? But he fight back. When Hanuman stopped speaking, Bhibhisana continued to argue against his accusation. Ravana's eyes flashed with fury. He always found his brother's advice hard to accept. But Bibhisana was wise that much Ravana could accept. The demon's king decided to inflict another punishment upon Hanuman monkey are found of their tails. Ravana said with a smile, set his tail alight, then parade him around the street of Lanka. After that, if he survived, he can return home in a wretched and a mutilated state. The Rakshasa quickly carried out Ravana's command. They tied oil soaked cloth around Hanuman's tails and set them alight. Hanuman furiously expanded his body and began lashing the demons around him. Cursing, they dragged him from the hall and out into the street of Lanka, his tail ablaze. The giant monkey marched behind the captors, carefully surveying the city. After all, this was an opportunity for a further reconciliation. So he could advise Ram how the city could best be attacked. Everywhere opportunity. Some of the Rakshasa reported to Sita that Hanuman was being parried through the city with his tail alight. Upon hearing the news, Sita felt aggrieved. She prayed mentally to the fire god Agni, if I possesses any merits from service to my husband and if I am truly devoted to Ram, then please prove cool to Hanuman. At once, Hanuman felt the fire on his tail to be cold. He wondered how that could be possible. Surely it was due to Ram's power, or perhaps it was due to Sita's mercies. Ram's godlike spouse is dear to all beings. Hanuman thought the fire god would certainly try to please those devoted to her service. As Hanuman went along Lanka's streets, he was derided and abused by the demons. The monkey decided to make his escape. He was tied around his toes with thick ropes that bound his arms to his body. Hanuman suddenly reduced his size and slipped free from the of those ropes with a shout of victory of Ram. He sprang into the air. He bounded across the rooftops and made his way towards the city of Northern Gate. As he left, he set fire to the mansions of the Rakshasa with his flaming tail. Assisted by his fathers Vayu and Agni himself, Hanuman soon had a large part of the Lanka blazing. Hanuman again assumed his console size and rode like the thunder cloud that appears at the time of universal dissolution. Many buildings in Lanka crashed and fell, blazing to the ground. Rakshasa ran and flew in all directions, shouting in terror. Seeing Hanuman standing like a mountain, they considered that Agni himself had come to destroy Lanka. Rakshasa fell from the high windows on of their mansions, their flashing bodies resembling meteors. Molten golds and silvers flowed in a rivulet, carrying sparkling gems of every description. It seemed as if the whole of Trikuta Mountains was blasted. Huge scarlet and orange flames leaped off, and dense pelts of black smoke hung like a cloud around the mountain. Some of the powerful Rakshasa attacked Hanuman. He took up a massive club and smashed them, killing thousands. Here is the mighty and a Bhangilful Indra. Some cried. Surely this is Yamraj meting out his awful punishment, said other. Still, other considered that Shiva had came there blazing with fury. Indeed, it might be any powerful deity, for the sinful Ravana had angered them all at different times. Perhaps it was even the infallible and unassailable Vishnu, Lord of the entire creation. Hanuman stood on the northern rampart and looked around at the blazing citizens of chaos and turmoil. Met his eyes and on the side he felt satisfied with his work and decided that it was time to return to the mainland. In the sky above him, the gods and Lucy had assembled and was extolling him with a choice poem. But a sudden apprehension seized Hanuman. What about Sita? Surely the prince had been burned alive in this immense conflagration. How had he seen so impetuous? Hanuman crossed himself for falling a victim to anger. Under the impulse of anger, a person could kill his elders or rebuke those worthy of worship. He had let himself for came fully under the swan of fury with no thought of terrible consequences. What would happen now if Sita were killed? The monkey felt grieved by despondency. Despondency. Even as Hanuman thought this, however, he heard from the sky the Kannada saying Hanuman has achieved a great and marvelous feat. The city of Lanka, thick, clean, crowded with demons, had been burnt on all sides, and it now stands as if shrinking, and yet the gentle Sita had not been harmed in the least. Reassuring by their words, Hanuman decided then to depart. He left across the to the Arista mountain on the northern shore of Lanka. As he ascended the mountain, which reached up to the clouds, large rocks broke under his feet and scattered down the mountainside. Deer and lions started and felt in fear. Large trees were crushed beneath the Hanuman's thread, making a loud cracking sound. On the summit of Arista, Hanuman couched down, ready to leap across the ocean once more. Shouting Ram's name, Hanuman leapt into the sky. Again, the pressure of his leap pressed to the mountain down into the earth. All its trees shook and shed their blossom. Vidyadharas, Kinnaras, and Gandharvas, who were sporting on the mountain slope, rose into the air as the mountain vibrated violently. Thousands of lions living in the mountain caves roared together with a terrific noise. Hanuman rose high in the sky and soared all away from Lanka. His mission was accomplished. This is how Hanuman did his great work in Lanka and finding Mata Sita. Jai Jagannath, Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Sri Ram. If you get some information about Ramayana, you may like, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. Jai Sri Ram.